Shanley McIntee, welcome to the show. Now, you and I actually already know each other in person because we shared the same job. And I remember posting this job listing on Instagram, and this girl who I only met once, I think your friend her name's Kate, right?
Yeah.
I only met her once. It was one of those drunk girl at the bar. We became friends and followed each other on Instagram, and I've never seen her again. DM me and it's oh, I actually have a girl that she's DMing you. And then I receive a DM from Shanley. And me being the obsessed reality TV girl that I am, I was like, this is Shanley from Are You? I freaked out that this is Shanley from Are You the One DMing me. So you ended up getting the job that I was walking away from. And I remember training you. I was supposed to be training you at the table, but ended up just asking you a bunch of questions about your time on MTV.
That's all it was. And one TikTok was filmed.
And one TikTok for the job was filmed, but it was a great TikTok.
It was a great TikTok.
So yeah, basically the premise of this show is I just like to learn about the reality of reality television. And you were on the first season of a show that has ended up going, I think, 9 seasons now.
I guess. I stopped watching. Listen,
I kept watching.
Okay, well, I wasn't a fan. I was in the show. So after season 3, I was everyone, once there's a lot of episodes going on and new seasons, I think people try really hard.
Yes.
To be in front of the camera, where, not to toot my own horn or my cast's horn, but we had no idea what we were getting into at all. So everything that you saw on camera was so genuine and real, and we even found out about the money when we got there.
And that plays on camera. That was actually one of my questions and we'll get into the premise of the show and everything, but while you bring it up, did you guys think you were just on a dating show and then they just were by the way, not only are you winning a cash prize, at the time, it was the largest cash prize in MTV history. You split it, but it was $1 million.
It was, yes, it was a large cash prize, taxes, everything else. Barely got a thing.
I know, it's so crazy how that happened.
I was paying taxes on it for a long time. I wasn't very good with my money. But no, when I got the call that I got on the show, and it kind of during the interview process, it was just the premise was a dating show. There wasn't very many details at all, that we were just going to be going somewhere and living in a house, and it was a dating show. So the money that you see the announcement on TV, that is the exact moment that we learned, and we were just flabbergasted.
Yeah, you're fuck yeah, this is an added bonus.
Yeah.
So for those that don't know, the premise of Are You the One is it was a dating show with a spin. It used modern technology to help people find love. So basically there was 10 girls and 10 guys in the house, and using this compatibility quiz, you guys I guess filled out questionnaires.
A lot. The most, MTV knows more about me than I think anybody in my life knows about me. There were a lot of intimate questions on there that I was do I even know these questions about myself?
It's how people tell you, don't do 23andMe, it's going to steal your information. I think MTV might have more than 23andMe has.
Oh, yeah, they've already duplicated me.
Yeah, there's a clone of you. 100%. And then basically that data is used to identify the pairs, and you get matched up with your perfect match. What could go wrong? I want to start from the beginning. So when you applied to the show, did you know the show you were applying for? Or were you just applying to be on TV?
I'm trying to think. So I want to try to go back a little bit. So originally, the reason why production had reached out to me is because I had applied for The Real World. So I went through that process and made it to the final round and decided that I didn't want to do it because I didn't want to miss any more school. I was doing my victory lap already, so I kind of dropped out. And then when I got a call from a random production company, it was during my final week in college. And yeah, it was just, there wasn't really any details. It was just hey, you're going to be on, or you are going to potentially be on a dating show, but we have your information. We like who you are, and you can bypass these steps. So you're already in the midst of this interview process.
Right.
So I had one interview, and then they flew me out to LA for the final.
Right. I heard that's how it works. It's if you apply to be on a reality show, you are in this database, and they can pull you 10 years down the line.
Oh, yeah. I shit myself when I got a phone call. I was I didn't apply for anything.
Right.
Like, what is this? And is that legal? Like, hey,
Yeah.
we've got your information.
Well, guess what? You said yes,
I
so
know.
they had the last laugh
I
there.
had nothing better to do.
Yeah, because you were graduating college.
Yeah.
Who cares?
I didn't know
Get
what I
a
wanted to
job,
do.
go on reality TV. The answer's pretty clear to me. Do you know what Real World season it would have been?
I feel like it was Portland.
I think it was Portland too because I looked it up and Portland aired in 2013. So I think if that's the round of interviews you were going through, it probably would have lined up. Imagine if you were on the Real World Portland. Did you watch that
Who was
one?
on that one? Was Jordan?
You guys would have 3 kids by now.
Yeah,
I think
100%.
So.
I think so. I think I was obsessed with Jordan for a long time.
We were
too.
all
Yeah, I
obsessed
know.
with
He's very,
Jordan.
very good looking. Now I look at him and I'm like, ugh. But I think that's because I've seen too much of him on TV.
I don't also think you need to associate with any MTV boys
Nope.
anymore. Yeah, I think you've had your fill.
Yeah.
What made you want to audition for reality TV to begin with?
Nothing. No.
Was there like a casting, like you know how colleges sometimes will do?
Yeah,
like,
that's
a
exactly
casting
what
thing?
happened.
Okay.
It was a college thing. They came to. I went to Indiana Bloomington, so IU. There was a casting call there, and my roommate wanted to go, and she wanted me to go with her, and so I went with her, and we all sat around this table. There was like, I don't know, maybe 10 of us around the table, and they asked us, "What's your name? Where are you from?" and say something interesting about yourself. And after everyone went through, the guy who had like hosted that like tapped me on the shoulder and was like, "I need you to stay here." I was like, "Okay." And then I answered a fucking packet of 500 questions.
Wow.
And then, yeah, that's exactly how it was. But I had no intention.
Well, and I listen to a lot of podcasts about a lot of reality stars, and most of the MTV ones are always, I didn't really want to go. My friend dragged me along. And it's the people who don't give a fuck are the people that they're like, that's exactly who I want on TV.
Oh, I feel like it's maybe because a lot of people try hard.
Yeah.
You know, and they kind of put on a show. And I know that when I sat down, I was just like, okay, let me tell you something. I don't even remember what I said, and I know it wasn't that interesting.
Right.
But they were like, hey, we want to keep you around.
But
And
also
so
it could
they-
have just been your demeanor, right? Like what's
Maybe.
not interesting to you is like, you never know what people are looking for. And I'll say it, they struck gold with you. So we'll get to that. Do you remember, so for Are You the One, you had to send in an audition video, which they then aired on Are You the One? And it's like you in front of a frat house, like, yeah, I
Yep.
hooked up with a couple dudes in here. Like, did they tell you what they wanted to see in this video, or did you just like free ball it?
No, they didn't tell us anything. I think you just had to, they wanted to get to know you. And at the time I was down at school still. Kappa Sig, man, those were my homies.
Good
and they were
times.
so.
Shout out to Kappa Sig.
Yeah, seriously, shout out to Kappa Sig. They were so ecstatic to see themselves on TV, even though it was me being like, I'm a whore. I slept with this guy and this guy, and half that, I don't even think the stuff that I was saying was true. I mean, probably some of it, but like,
Yeah.
I wasn't that big of a hoochie mama.
It got you on TV.
It
Who
did.
cares?
It did. I didn't think they were going to air that part on TV, to be honest.
It's like the only part they aired on TV, I think. They
Yeah.
loved it. They
Yeah.
ate it up.
I know.
Well, I think the reason that because I was just telling Shanley before we recorded, I went back and rewatched the first episode of season 1 of Are You the One? And then by default, I ended up watching like the entire season because it's just such a good season of reality TV. And my theory why they aired that is because later on you end up being perfect matches with Adam, and you say it kind of makes sense because I'm typically into like frat dudes, and so maybe that's why they kept it in to prove like, see, we got her perfect match.
Yeah, I think that's why too. Like
Yeah.
now watching back on it, I'm like, well, duh. Like that makes a lot of sense. And also, not to like skip ahead, I knew that Adam was my perfect match. Like after day 2 or 3.
No.
Yeah, not that they told me or anything.
No,
I
you
was just
figured
like,
it
this
out.
makes sense.
No
And I hate that this
way.
makes sense. This is awful. I would never date him in real life.
Yeah. Well, okay, we'll get to
Yeah,
that.
sorry.
That was not even a question I had. That's actually really interesting. Okay, well, now we're here. We're in Hawaii. The show has started. Beautiful. Had you been to Hawaii before?
No, first time in Hawaii.
That's amazing. Free vacation.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember much about like the first day of filming and what that was like? Like, I guess my main question is, you all run out onto the beach. Woo, we're so excited. Reality show. Yeah, we're young, we're hot, we're awesome. Before you do that, like run out onto the beach, were you like chatting with each other, or were they like, you cannot talk until cameras are up?
So they had us on 2 vans, I believe. So they separated the guys and the girls. So I was, we weren't allowed to chat, but like we were kind of like whispering and whatnot to each other on the van. Obviously, you have to save that for when you're mic'd up and on camera. So we hadn't really seen the guys, although we were holed up in a hotel for a few days prior to filming because we had to shoot our like headshots and things
Right.
like that. So we kind of saw the guys like by accident. So we kind of had an idea of, yeah. But yeah, we sat on a van, and then they, you know, after they set up the cameras and had us mic'd up, they called us out, and that's when we all kind of.
So you kind of knew the girls before then going in. Like, my next question was, like, did you know anyone prior to filming?
I did. I actually was in the interview process with Simone and Jessica.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Which is even more interesting because you and Simone get in like
Exactly.
a huge fight in that first
That
episode.
is why the drama between Simone and I was so like hard hitting for me, is because like we were like, oh, we're all gonna be sisters. Like we went through this process together. Like we called each other. You're not allowed to. Sorry, MTV. We called each other when we got the final call and told each other that we were gonna be on it. So yeah, that's why it was disappointing.
How
when we got in
quickly
the
they
house.
turn.
I know.
So this aired in 2014, so it's over 10 years ago. Are you still under any kind of contracts for it? Do you know?
God, I hope not.
No.
I don't think so. I think it was like, oh God, I don't know. No, I don't think so.
I feel like 10 years is a long
That's
fucking
too
time.
long. I mean, at that point, just fucking lock me up.
Yeah, exactly.
do
Like you
anything.
have my whole life. We then get to the house, and it's like a very typical MTV house intro where everyone's screaming and running in, and they want to like claim their beds in their room. And like on shows like The Challenge or even The Real World, there's multiple rooms that even have like 6 bunk beds in a room. But on Are You the One, they had one giant bed for 20 people. It's just like a bunch of mattresses put together.
A bunch of mattresses put together. Yeah.
Did you guys actually sleep there?
We ended up moving the mattresses, but for the most part, yes. There was also a room downstairs, which I think you see in a couple episodes. It's like a day room or whatever. What are those called?
Right, yeah.
You know, and there was a bed in there. Some people would go sleep down
But that
there.
wasn't like the Pound Town room.
No, that's upstairs on, like, you have the room here, and then you just walk down the hallway, and it's
Yeah.
on the other
Because
side.
Are You the One? It's a very, like, at its core, it's a pretty simple format. Like, you're all living in a house together, and, like, you have, like, on Jersey Shore, they call it, like, the smush room. Like, you guys had a smush
We had
room,
a smush room.
in the house.
This
So
is so gross to think about.
I know. It's like, that's the room that you go in to fuck.
Yeah.
And everybody fucks in there.
Everybody.
It's crazy.
I'm guilty.
Yeah,
Like,
I think you were the first.
no, yeah.
I think you
I think I
were.
was.
But I think Simone followed very shortly after, if I remember
I
correctly.
don't remember if Simone had sex during the show.
Oh. They do a really good job at making it look like
Yes.
everybody
Yeah.
is. So.
Yeah. Because Simone went in there with JJ in
Yep.
like the beginning.
Yep.
I don't think they ever had sex.
Fooled me.
I don't know, but maybe I'm lying.
Freaking
Don't
fooled
quote me on it.
Well, that's my thing too. Is I'm always like, if I were in these houses with these rooms, it's like shitty sleeping arrangements, I would just go and sleep on the couch. And I was wondering if there were any rules against like this is where you need to sleep, or was it just kind of a free for all?
I think initially there was rules of being like, you need to be in this room, but we were there for almost 40 days. And so we're
Damn.
like, I'm sleeping wherever the fuck I want to
Yeah.
sleep. So people did sleep on couches. People slept on like mattresses that they'd pull out in the hallway. They kind of, we slept anywhere and everywhere,
Yeah.
especially if we were drunk. A lot of us passed out wherever the fuck we ended
Right.
up, you know?
When if I were production too, I would be like, you know what? This cast is giving us so much. We can't give them rules. Like you guys were crazy. One of the best casts of any reality. Like everyone.
It was a free for all for us
Yeah.
though. Like we were given so much leeway because we were the guinea pigs. That's what it was. We're the guinea pigs. It's the first season. I think it might have been the first show that Rob, who is the producer, I believe, of the show, produced for MTV.
Lucky him.
Yeah, we had unlimited amounts of alcohol. Like you will never see that on a reality show ever again.
Right. Like I know I compare a lot to The Challenge. I'm a huge Challenge fan, but like they have a limit on how much they can drink, but that wasn't always in place. They had to implement it. So then when I went back and watched your season, it was pretty obvious you guys could drink how much you wanted whenever you wanted. Is that the case?
Yeah, we had a bat phone. That's what we called it. So we could just phone into like the PAs and be like, hey, I want this. I would ask for I was on like a Jameson kick and a gin kick. I don't drink any of that now. I don't know what.
Also, it's like a 22-year-old, very sophisticated
I
palate.
know. Hendrick's gin. That, like, specifically, Hendrick's gin. And I think I was maybe just trying hard to be cool. I don't know. But I would ask for bottles, and I would hide them in my suitcase.
Wow.
And I wouldn't share it with
So,
anybody.
like, no one else could have it.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's just how easy like it was to just get alcohol and then hide it and still have a bunch of alcohol in the house. I think the first day they spent over $500 on alcohol alone, just the first day.
Were you guys drinking every night?
We were, yeah, every night, every single night. And when we stopped drinking, they made us drink.
Would you drink every day? Like day and night?
No, it depended on like so every 3 days, I'm probably getting ahead of this again, but every 3 days was an episode. So you had a challenge, you had like a day of interviews, and then you had the date day. So if there was something going on during the day, we didn't drink. If there wasn't, then yeah. So like during interviews, we didn't really want to drink.
Right. And that was your choice to not drink.
Yeah. But then, like I said, I remember maybe it was speed, not the drug, but the card game.
I love that game.
Yeah, we were playing that towards the end nonstop. And they would come into the room and they're like, no, you guys, go get alcohol. Like, you guys are boring. Literally to our faces, you guys are boring. Drink.
Basically, you guys became friends with each other and the drama wasn't there anymore. So they wanted to get you more fucked up to hopefully, I guess, make drama.
Yep.
Wow, that's super interesting. So how long, like, okay, let's say I'm calling the PA. Hey, I need my bottle of Hendrix ASAP. How long until you would get it?
Not very long. They would send someone out like immediately to go grab something.
I bet you there was a PA specifically for alcohol.
There was a PA for a lot of things. And like every time you would see them like pop around the corner and be like, and you'd sneak,
like,
I sneak off.
Order.
Yeah,
it was DoorDash before DoorDash.
Yeah,
was even
exactly,
a thing,
exactly.
Literally.
Yeah, no, they did everything for us, like literally everything.
Right. So one thing that alcohol probably assisted with was a lot of the fights in the house. And as we mentioned, you got in, I think, the first physical altercation. I think you need to take a drink. Yep, for sure. The first physical altercation of the season, of the series, with Simone. Now, it's kind of like an open secret that, like, if you get in a fist fight on a reality show, you're kicked off of the reality show. Was that a rule for you guys?
I don't know, because I don't think anyone really took it that far, except, well, I guess it might have been a rule because JJ at one point had thrown a watch at a window and he got removed from the house. He didn't get kicked out.
And I remember watching that in real time thinking, how did he not get kicked out of the house?
That should have. That's a lot of damage to a house that they're just renting for a show.
Right. That a family's probably staying in right now.
Yeah.
And that's how you know it was good.
Yeah.
So you had confessionals. You had like two kind of different kind of confessionals on this show. You had like the professional MTV filmed confessionals. You also had like a confessional room in the house. Again, very Jersey Shore-esque. Like, don't ruin a good formula when you have one. I mean, it works for a reason. So for like the professional ones, you would get pulled for them every 2 or 3 days, you said?
So there would be an interview day where they'd set up cameras and have us in whatever beautiful background they wanted to put us on, and then they'd give us questions which we'd have to answer like as it was happening now or currently. So even if it was something about day one and we were 30 days later being asked that, we had to talk about it as if it was happening now. There were OTFs, which were on the fly interviews too, where you'll see if you're standing, it's like someone standing off camera to like talk about those things. That's immediately after like a challenge or something like that. And then, then we had the confessional room.
So how would they like phrase the questions in like the professional interviews to make it seem like you're talking in present tense? Like, how do they put you back into that moment?
Because first of all, they're rewatching footage all the time, so they can explain it as if it were happening.
So they're not showing you; they're just telling you. Interesting. And then for the in-house confessional room, did producers like urge you to go in there, or was it just on your own free will you guys went in there?
For Are You the One, it was our own free will. Like, we were just like, whenever we were drunk and having a good time, we'd go in and talk. I mean, every time you saw me on there, I literally couldn't keep my eyes open. I was so drunk and sloppy and greasy.
And it is just like a fun thing to do of like, we're fucked up, let's go talk in the confessional. I totally see it. So on night one, and you can correct me if this like isn't actually how it went, just as like a viewer, this is how it went for me. You and Chris make out on night one, right? You don't know, you haven't really even met everybody in the house at that point. Now, obviously you guys had an immediate attraction to each other, but like, was there any production interference of like them kind of urging you to act on those feelings, or maybe on the flip, them telling you to not act on those feelings because they want the experiment to work?
No production at all. There wasn't, they didn't have a hand in anything except giving us the alcohol. And again, I don't remember kissing Chris that night, but yeah, I think it was him that kissed me. I remember the laying in the bed and he had kissed me, but no, there was no production involved. That was our own free will.
Were there producers like in the house with you?
Not at all times, no. The camera crew was there. There was barely any cameras. I mean, there were a bunch of cameras probably throughout the house, but we had a real person with a camera in our face at all times. I would wake up with someone just hovering over me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn.
Getting that B-roll.
Yeah, for real. Like maybe she'll do something crazy in her sleep. What did you guys, so like obviously the premise of the show is there's a matchmaking process. Collectively, what did you guys think about the matchmaking process? Like, did you think it was bullshit? Did you believe it? Or did you only believe it because you were trying to win?
I feel like a little bit of all of that. I think, one, you have MTV picking your perfect match. Like, that sounds like a load of shit.
Right.
And
well, what's better, MTV or Tinder? I mean, people get married off of Tinder.
That's true, but I mean, MTV, I don't know. They don't pick the best cats to be on television. So to tell me that, especially with, no offense to Adam, I think he's having a kid now, but
congrats, Adam.
Yeah, congrats. What kind of match was that for me? Like, what do you think, that we're going to run off into the sunset and be these mature, like, wonderful human beings?
Most of them, like, I don't know you guys. I'm just watching, but like, I didn't know you, and I'm like, that's not your match. Like, that's not your guy. But there is a couple that got married from your season,
Amber and Ethan.
They're still together.
They just had their third child.
Wow. Shout out to them.
Yeah, seriously, and shout out to me because I made sure they matched up.
And and they should have named their firstborn child
That's
Shanley.
what I'm saying.
So then another big part of the show is the truth booths, okay? And the whole premise of the truth booth is you go into this booth, you figure out who's your perfect match. If you're not a match, great, you're not a match. If you are a match, then even better, because you're one step closer. Because the whole point of the show is you have to get 10 perfect matches to win the money.
Yeah.
So if this truth booth reveals, it's kind of like a cheat, right? You can send 2 people into the truth booth and it will reveal if they're a perfect match or not. But here's the catch about the truth booth. If you are a perfect match, you then leave the house and go off on like some fucking little vacation, and your reality TV experience is kind of done. You're not really filmed anymore. So if it were me, like you said, you kind of knew Adam was your perfect match. If I were in your shoes, I wouldn't want to be sent into the truth booth with Adam, because then I'm off the show. Like, was that ever a conversation with you guys?
I think it was a conversation with everybody. I don't think anybody wanted to. Going to a honeymoon suite somewhere on the island just didn't sound as appealing or enticing as being on camera for as long as possible for a first season of a show.
Right, partying in a house with a bunch of friends. Yeah,
exactly. And yeah, I mean, especially if you were not voted off, but the truth booth, you were a perfect match in the truth booth like the first week. Like, you just met that person first and foremost. And you have to go off and spend time with them for the rest of filming, which was a long time.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody wanted to get voted into the truth booth and be a perfect match to leave. Maybe towards the end, people were like, get me the fuck out of here. But yeah, I don't think it was an appealing move to get in there.
And you were the very first truth booth of the season. So you were the first truth booth of the first season of Are You the One that has now had hundreds of truth booths. And you were also the first no match of Are You the One, which then eventually led to you and Chris being the first pissed off people that you weren't a match in Are You the One, essentially kind of setting the tone. Look, you're humble and I love that about you, but you literally set the tone for this show. Like, when people think of Are You the One, they think of Shanley and Chris not being a match. And when I watch you, I do think to myself, like, this girl, this is how I saw it, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but like, I felt like you were genuinely there for love, because you weren't a match and you were like, I don't give a fuck. I don't care about the experiment. I don't care about the money. I like this guy and I'm going to keep getting with him. Am I wrong in thinking that? I see the look on your face.
I actually rewatched recently, and I was just kind of watching myself. Initially, I think that maybe I was hopeful to find somebody, but I don't think those were my intentions. I wanted to have fun. And I think in that first episode when Chris and I are confirmed to no match, you see it in my demeanor, especially when he's talking to me on the couch outside afterwards, and he was like, well, I don't care what it says, and I'm like, well, you need to care what it says. So I think I initially had this like gut feeling to separate myself. I don't know what excuse I have that we didn't separate, except again, goes back to the alcohol, goes back to someone that I was comfortable with, and we just kept like, gravitating towards each other. And I also don't think I was really interested, like physically at least, in anyone else in the house.
I could see as a viewer when you got that no match, you were kind of just like, but I feel like his emotions, he was so emotional about it that it kind of then seeped onto you, and I feel like he kind of took over a little bit.
Yeah, no, I don't want to say that like my feelings and the way I moved was dictated by him, but he definitely kept at it the whole time.
Totally. Watching it now that I'm older and I've been in like relationships with toxic men, like I'm sure there have been people out there that's like, Shanley was crazy.
There's still people out there. I think he was, I can confirm he was toxic, especially after the show. I like spent a week with him and then was like, go away, fly back to West Virginia.
You did hang after the show.
Yeah, and I hated it.
Wow.
I hated it. It was like real reality hit me like a semi-truck.
And that's why you weren't a perfect match.
Yeah, and then he like stalked me.
Oh. Did like you have a restraining order or anything?
No, but I threatened to file one. My dad wanted me to.
Wow. Damn. And you have no contact with him anymore?
No.
Good.
I think he has 2 kids. I guess I spied.
Well,
what do you call
obviously,
it?
we all spy a little
Stalked
bit.
him on
I actually
Instagram.
know. I like the word spy a lot better than creeped.
Yeah.
It's
okay,
like I creeped
spied.
on there Instagram. You spied a little bit.
Yeah, I'm just a
It's
professional
okay.
spy.
Little Carmen Sandiego. We all spy a little bit. So when Are You the One aired, it was right in the beginning of 2014, I believe.
I feel like it was 2013 because I moved out to LA afterwards, and it was in 2013.
How old were you when the show was filming?
22.
Yeah, so young.
23. How
Yeah.
old am I now? Too old. I can't do math. Don't
Whatever-
put me on the spot.
Whatever 11 years ago was
Yeah.
from now.
Yeah.
Back then, obviously, like social media existed, but it definitely did not exist in the capacity that it exists today. So were you ever like nervous of like what the public perception of you would have been?
No, the one thing that I still carry into my life today is I don't give a fuck. I just don't give a fuck. You guys can say whatever you want to say about me. It does not bother me at all. Like I truly got, I can say that because I did get a lot of hate. I mean, it was 50-50, but I did get a lot of it. And it just is like, I don't know you until you come up to me and say it to my face. Like I just,
Right.
it doesn't
It's a good
bother
way
me.
to live. Like everybody should not care.
Truly, but I get it. I mean, it's kind of harsh to see some shitty things. I've had people tell me they're going to cut me up into little pieces and feed me to pigs, and
How do you what do you do after you see something like that?
I giggle. I'm like, that's creative. Like,
You're like, damn, you're a poet.
Yeah.
It is. Look, people can be creative.
They can be. They can be. There's moments I laughed and I was like, damn, that's really good.
Yeah.
Like, that's in my arsenal now if I ever
Yeah.
want to be a hater, which I wouldn't.
You definitely, I will say, for being on a show like Are You the One, which like, in my opinion, is a big show, but it's not a huge reality show. But you definitely got a lot of hate, and you have a lot of stories that came out of that. One of which I have to mention Zach from Are You the One season 7. He, from what I remember, he was a bit of a fuckboy in his season.
Oh, he's very much a fuckboy in his season.
And then at the reunion, he had mentioned that he had hooked up with you, right? So then they say, well, we have this big surprise. We flew Shanley out, and you walk out at the reunion. It's like this big reveal that MTV flew you out. How much was a surprise? Was that surprise?
This is the reason why I don't think I'd ever be on MTV again. And I'm saying that here and now.
Don't call her.
Don't call me ever. So Zach and I had a brief relationship. We had been messaging and texting, and then he had flown me out to Dallas. And so I spent time in Dallas with him. And then one night while I was in Dallas, like, he did a complete 180 out of nowhere. Like, it was so weird. He Ubered me to the airport. It was just, it felt gross. And then I think a few days later, I saw that Morgan from his season, and this is the sleuthing that I did. I saw her on a couch, and there was like a fraction of a blanket in there, and I was like, I know that blanket. And I'm like going and zooming in, and then I go to his page, and I'm like, I know this blanket is at his house, whatever. That's how I found out he was.
You can't get
there.
Shit past girls, by the way. Like, we're literally in the FBI.
I was just going to say we're FBI agents. And I think I called him out about it. And he lost his shit on me and threatened me with all the things that he threatened me with. So I had talked to a lawyer, and then I believe production had called me, or I might have reached out to production myself, because I was like, I want to call this motherfucker out on TV. I don't care. People need to know. Like, he is a skis ball. Like, he's gross. This isn't okay. And they're like, okay, we'll do this whole thing where we'll fly you there. We're not going to tell anybody. And then I'm on the plane, and when I land, I get all the texts come in. And Morgan, who actually ended up becoming friends with her, was texting me, and she goes, Zach knows. I'm like, how the fuck does Zach know? The driver of me texted another cast member saying they were picking me up. And I'm like, that makes no sense.
Right.
That makes absolutely zero sense.
Sounds like bullshit to me. Yeah.
So it ruined the whole point of, like, and then it gave him time to prepare.
Right. He was supposed to be ambushed, but really, and you could tell he did kind of have a shit-eating grin on his face. He knew you were going to walk on that stage, and he knew exactly what he was going to say because he had time to prepare. Yeah. Do you think it was someone in production that leaked it? I mean, I guess it kind of had to be.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. I don't want to blame anyone, but someone did it. Yeah. Someone did it, and whether it was Morgan, like, I don't want to blame her because she was really sweet, or Nutsa, like, they all knew that I was coming, but it just so happened that a limo driver or black car driver, whatever they are, decided to text a castmate to ask to pick me up, which is just such a terrible mistake. Yeah, interesting. Silly mistake.
So it's just, it's like there's always so many of these surprise guests at these different things, and I'm always curious, like, how much of a surprise is it really? If that wasn't leaked, it genuinely would have been a surprise.
It would have shocked him. 100%.
That's good to know. So while you were on Are You the One, is there anything that, like, stood out to you of, like, I didn't really know this is how production worked? Like, for example, on so many reality shows, Love Island is a good example too. The big question is, like, when do they eat? We never see them eat. I see you guys eat drunk food on Are You the One, like, late at night, but, like, what are the crew and cast meals like?
Well, we had pizza way too often. We had, I think, pasta a lot too, but that's only when it was catered, and it was usually catered after the matchup ceremonies.
Okay.
Otherwise they would fill our fridge with whatever we wanted, but we were awful at cleaning. Like, it was fucking disgusting.
And you guys had to clean.
I don't know. Well, sometimes production would come in and clean, but for some reason it was always us having to clean the kitchen. And there was, and I'm not even shitting you, there was a time where we had maggots because we didn't clean.
That's why production came in. Production was like, we were not planning to come in.
It was so bad. It was so bad. I think they were in a pot of food that we had left out. Yeah, we were gross.
I guess that's what happens when you do have 20-year-olds living in a house together.
20-year-olds and just drunk buffoons.
Yeah, wow. How would you guys, like, this is like a weird question, but, like, how would you wake up? Like, you didn't have your phones. You didn't have alarm clocks. Like, would production come in and wake you up? Or, like, what was the deal with that?
You know, I don't think there was really anyone to come wake us up unless it was a day where we had to do interviews or a day where we had to do a challenge. There's that one day kind of, like, off that we had. And I know that they didn't really wake us up that often because JJ slept all the fucking time. Like, he was in bed until, like, noon every time. But I just would naturally wake up, you know, like, it would be really early in the morning. And we couldn't talk or anything until we went downstairs. So as soon as people started waking up, the mic guy would be sitting downstairs in a little area.
So you would wake up, and the first thing you had to do was go get mic'd. He would just be down there waiting for you, I guess.
Yeah.
And then there were already cameramen in the house.
Yes.
Were there always cameramen in the house?
Yes.
Like, all hours?
All hours. Except, like, at night, but like at night when we went to sleep. But if someone woke up in the middle of the night and was talking or anything, you'd have to go get mic'd. They'd bring a mic up and they'd put it on, and a camera guy would come up. I fell asleep with my mic on a couple times, drunkenly fell asleep, and they would take it off in my sleep. I never knew that they were up there.
They got to charge them.
Me.
They got to charge them. Where was like production located during all of this?
I feel like there was like a little house.
Like a house next door or something. Because they probably had to be super close. If anyone woke up, I could just like picture this like sound guy like sprinting over.
Yeah, they were definitely very close. I feel like maybe some of the producers took turns. They had a schedule. So like there were multiple producers on the show. So some of them would show up one day and the others would stay back at the hotel and have time off, and then they'd switch out.
Right.
But I feel like there was a place. I know this isn't Are You the One, but when I did X on the Beach, the house was like next to the house.
You were on X on the Beach, right?
I was.
So tell me about that.
It was a vacation.
So you went, the premise of X on the Beach is like, you weren't part of main cast. You were one of like the surprise exes that showed up, right? So like it's a bunch of people on a beach. Woo, we're having fun. We're hot. We're young. And then their ex spawns out of the water, right? And you have to do like this hot, sexy water thing.
And you film that in front of like a public beach, so there's people there.
No.
Yeah.
So you film it separately than when it actually happens, right? Wow, I'm surprised they don't.
No,
even
where
block you guys off the spot.
I was literally hiding behind a bush when I came out.
Surprise!
I'm not even kidding. Alicia and I were hiding behind a bush together.
Did you said it was a vacation. Did you enjoy? Because X on the Beach, I'm really not super familiar with that show. I know the premise, but is it like a competition, or is it just you're living in a house with a bunch of hot exes?
You're living in a house with a bunch of hot exes. That's there. I don't think there was a premise at all. It's just drama. That's what the premise of the show was. Like, create as much drama as you possibly can. It was a vacation for me because my ex wasn't even my ex. He was like my best friend at the time.
Right. What was his name?
Cam. Yeah, he was on Are You the One?
Okay.
With Michaela.
Okay.
So I was his ex, and which is weird, and this is, he has a girlfriend now, but we ended up hooking up for the first time on that show.
So they were like grasping at straws, like, we just need someone for Cam. Let's pull Shanley. We know she's good TV. She's already in the MTV world. We'll pretend like they're an ex. Meanwhile, you guys ended up having a fling there and that was a shock to you. You didn't expect that to happen.
No, I mean, we were always really flirty, and I think the reason why they had us be exes is because on a live, like an Instagram live one day at my house, he was there, and I feel like I'm an alcoholic. I'm not, even though there's alcohol in this cup.
Yeah, this is coffee.
Yeah, this is just a little bit of caffeine. I can't remember when it was, but we got really, really drunk, and there was a moment where we're on live, we're talking, and we disappear from the view of the camera to kiss for the first time. And people could hear it on live, and I think that's why they were like, yes, exes, bring them on.
Producers were like scrambling in that moment. Like, this needs to be filmed right now. Yeah. Wow.
So, but yeah, it was like a vacation because I mean, at the end of the day, I was there with a good friend. It wasn't a vacation for everybody. Right. I actually felt very bad for some people in the house. But
because it's shitty. You actually had the best case scenario where you were just hanging with your friend, but it is kind of a shitty thing to just be kicking it on a beach, feeling great, and then like your ex who you have all this trauma with shows up. So that was best case scenario for you. You've also been on another MTV show, okay? You've been on 3. You were on X on the Beach, Are You the One, and then Are You the One Second Chances, which aired in 2017, so a couple years after your original season of Are You the One, which is basically they took a bunch of the perfect matches from Are You the One. It says it's like a second chance at love, but really it was like a competition show where you guys are just really doing challenges and competing, but it was just to kind of like, I guess, test the compatibility of your perfect match, which obviously...
And they obviously got it fucking wrong for
They
me.
obviously got it wrong, but you did make it to the final 3 couples.
Yeah, because I carried the team on my back.
Well, then that brings me to my next question. Not only did you and Adel make to the final 3 couples, you were in... The other final couples was Tori and Devin. They weren't a couple together, but
Tori, Morgan, Devin, and Rashida.
Thank you. Tori and Devin and Adam all went on to go on the challenge. Adam, I don't think lasted very long, but Tori and Devin are like huge names in the challenge world right now. So for me, as a challenge super fan, to see you sitting in the final 3 with them, it makes me wonder, like, why aren't you on the challenge?
I think I got the call 3 times, maybe.
3 times. Do you know what seasons?
I think the one where some of the people from my season of Are You the One like initially got on the challenge, I think maybe that one. But no, I don't remember the seasons. I just remember like it wasn't, and there wasn't an opportunity for me to leave. And like if back in the day, if you knew anything about the challenge, like you make $1,000 a week as a stipend, or have a stipend and then $1,000 a week. And that doesn't increase unless you win the money and then you're on it on the show again. So that's why there's people like Bananas and all of them that are they're making way too much money.
Right.
Way too much money.
Right. But it is also known that like the amount of money that Johnny Bananas is making compared to the amount of money someone who's only on their first or second season is making is such a difference. I mean,
it's astronomically.
It's like you can't make a career out of being on the challenge unless you're Johnny Bananas. Did you get a stipend on Are You the One or X on the Beach?
Both of them.
Do you remember like how much it was?
Probably enough to pay my rent, and that's about it.
Right. Nothing to write home about.
No.
So if it would have worked out, you would have maybe gone on the challenge.
Yeah, I think so. I've always been a competitive person. Like I played volleyball in college and all of that jazz, but like I mean, I was happy to go on Second Chances just because I got the opportunity to compete and like prove. It wasn't to prove to everyone. It was like literally just to prove to myself, like, oh, I can do this, even though half the challenges were really stupid and like lame challenges. But there were some like hard challenges in there and like endurance challenges that I was like, holy shit, like I killed that. Like that was amazing. But I think I would love to go, or I would have loved to gone on.
You've already publicly announced you're never going on MTV.
Now
again,
MTV is just going to come knocking on my door. They're like, no, too bad, bitch.
Yeah, that ship has sailed. Ship has sailed. The challenge now isn't as like fun as it was.
Well, they keep like introducing so many new people, right? Like,
well, now, so it originally was, you know, the Real World versus Road Rules. Then they implemented Are You the One, which was really interesting because although Are You the One is an MTV reality show, they were like the ugly stepsister of the challenge, and they were not really treated well. Now, a lot of the people that are from Are You the One are staples in challenge
I
history.
knew Devin would be great at it.
Yeah, and you and Devin got along really well.
Oh, we got along really well.
Yeah. Are you in touch with anybody that you were on Are You the One, X on the Beach, or Second Chance with?
Amber and Ethan, I'll talk to occasionally. Cam is my best friend. I was just with him over the weekend, and Ashley from my season. Dylan I go horseback riding with from my season.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so I still stay in touch with some people. Alicia from Second Chances is my absolute like ride or die best friend.
I love to hear that. Even though it's like, look, you may not have found love, you may not have single-handedly won $1 million, but you have good friendships that came out of it.
Friends.
You found friends. Yeah. So just based on your experience, I have some rapid fire questions.
Sure.
Would you rather go on a dating show or a competition show? Let's put yourself back. Maybe not now. Well, no, now. Tell me now.
Competition show.
Competition show. Would that have been the same answer when you initially applied?
Yeah, probably.
You would have rather been on a competition show. I mean, Are You the One kind of was a competition show.
A little bit.
Obviously, MTV is out of the question. But would you ever go back on reality television?
Absolutely fucking not.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I'm balls deep in Love Island right now, right? And it's a whole different ball game. Like the internet is, and I know I stated in the beginning, I have thick skin and I can take that, but like the internet picks these people apart and I feel so awful. There's just so much access to these people now that I don't know what the fuck they dig up on me.
There's also just so many more. I mean, when you were on Are You the One, there was Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, right? Now there's just so many other ways or so much more information that we're all getting out. So I'm with you on that. You wouldn't even go on the Traders?
Maybe.
You would do great at the round table.
Maybe. I've only watched, I think I might have just watched the first season, maybe half the first season, but I haven't. Once I did my reality stint, aside from Love Island, I really haven't watched a lot of reality television.
Do you think that's because you were on reality TV?
Yeah, I think so. I think so because I know the things and I'm over analyzing like, oh, they probably set this up or here was a OTF here or this didn't happen there. That was an edit. Like I caught myself after being on reality doing that often and that drove me insane. So
Right. Is there anything that you wish from your time on any one of the 3 shows like didn't air? If nothing comes to your mind, oh, nope, she's smiling.
No, yeah, there was a few things like the confessional where I literally looked straight in the camera and asked my mom to bring me birth control. Like that's crazy.
Iconic.
That's
like
crazy.
that is why we remember you from Are You the One? It's crazy.
And yeah, I would say like if there was any like intimate scenes with Chris and I, but there is also one that I think is absolutely just hilarious, and I think it's the first time we go into the boom boom room. And I'm shoving a blanket under the door, and he's laying on the bed on his back with his dick out. And I don't see him, and then I turn around and I just go, okay.
No, yes, that is exactly it. I just rewatched the episode, and you look and you're like, oh. And it's just so like that. I know I'm just so obsessed with Are You the One? I'm so obsessed with season 1, mainly because it is almost as if there were no cameras there. You guys were so authentically your messy selves, and like even just that reaction to like seeing some dude laying on a bed with his dick out, going, oh, like it just was so natural, and I just thought that was so funny. Is there anything that didn't air that you wish aired on any one of those shows?
Gosh, yeah, I gotta rack my memory, but I do know on the last day, after filming wrapped, there were people that hooked up that wouldn't have hooked up on the show.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I won't ask you who.
You can.
Okay, who?
Trey and Simone.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Why wouldn't they do it on camera?
Well, they hated each other. Like, they just didn't like each other. And then I don't know.
They had to bang it out?
I guess so. I feel like there was a lot more that had happened. But we also smoked a lot of weed on the
oh, like, wait, because you couldn't do that while you were filming?
Although I think Ethan got to smoke weed because he had, like, issues with his legs and things like that. So they would, like, let him sneak off and give him Hawaiian weed.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
There's a workaround for everything.
Yeah.
You had mentioned that you horseback ride, and I know that because I follow you on social media. So your life now is so different than your life 10 years ago. Like, what do you do? Like, tell me about 2025 Shanley.
Oh, 2025 Shanley is an adult. I have grown immensely. I was even thinking about it this year that I haven't changed necessarily, but I've definitely grown, and I feel more confident with myself and who I am. And right now I'm enjoying. I grew up around horses. I love horseback riding, and I found a woman named Natasha, shout out Natasha, who gives private lessons to Dylan and myself. So I horseback ride every week. I have a job as a head of social at a company that I'm not going to name, but I'm wearing a product.
You guess what it is.
Guess what it is. And I live alone with my 2 dogs and my cat. Went through a really rough breakup almost 2 years ago, and now I'm single and thriving.
Which is why I'm like, no dating show?
No dating show.
Yeah.
No. I'm not going to go find my perfect match.
Well, obviously that didn't work out the first time, the second time, or the third time. So it's not going to work out
3 strikes, I'm out.
I have to give you so much credit, like just hearing us talk about how like social media is so scary now, and going on a reality show would be so scary now, which it would. But I think going on a reality show in 2013 would be so scary. And as a 22-year-old, when you are just like naturally more not as confident, or maybe a bit more insecure. I mean, I'm speaking for myself here, but I think as a reality TV lover, by you going on reality TV, you are like giving us entertainment. And I just think that's something you should be really proud of, that like you were brave enough to go on this show, show us all of you, and I'll say it, became the biggest star of Are You the One? You were the icon of Are You the One?
I will say, the producer, Rob, we follow each other on Instagram and we'll chat here and there, but multiple occasions he has literally thanked me because he tells me that I'm the reason he had a show for as long as he did.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's
so
amazing.
it's a good feeling. But I didn't have any intent going into it being like a star. I didn't even know what I was getting myself into. Honestly, I have always been pretty extroverted, so it wasn't that scary for me. I love the idea of not having to be home, so just wanted to have fun.
Yeah, well, that's why you did so well, because you were you, and
that's true.
That's all we can ask for. And I thank you so much for being on this podcast. I don't know when it will air, but I do want everyone to know that Shanley was my first guest.
I was the first.
because she's someone that I feel comfortable with, and she's so nice. And like I mentioned in the beginning, like we already basically had this conversation, and it needed to be recorded.
It did.
So
it
thank
did.
you so much for
Thank
coming
you for
on.
having me. It makes sense too because I was in the first season of Everything One. So
And
you
you're
gotta be the
my
guest.
first season 1, episode 1. Put that on your gravestone.
I will. I absolutely will. Thank you for having me.